Twin Zeros at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights, Illinois. Check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. Twin Zeros Restaurant in Harwood Heights not only serves traditional gyros, but also has chicken gyro sandwiches. Twin Zeros also serves a variety of sandwiches ranging from cheeseburgers and Vienna beef hot dogs that have recently been inducted into the Vienna Beef Hot Dog Hall of Fame, Italian beef, Italian sausage, and combo sandwiches, to ethnic favorites such as Slovaki and Grecian chicken. Slovaki is shish kebabs, specifically chicken or pork shish kebabs, grilled to perfection, served on a warm pita with tomatoes, onions, and our homemade tzatziki sauce. You can also enjoy barbecue ribs served every day. Twins is open 7 days a week and also delivers locally. Located at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights. Check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. That's twinzeros.com.
Six Bayonets, brothers and sisters. This is CW5 Michael Francis Tuman with the Chief Guard of the Republic radio show. Hit us up, give us a call at 847-931-1410. I'm especially soliciting calls from veterans organizations that have anything going today. Give me a call in and we'll put you on the radio, give you a little plug there to get to get more veterans and more people to our events. This is my third show, and so just a little bit of backstop on you, because some people have a lead-in. I did 38 years in the Army Reserve and National Guard with multiple deployments. I did 10 years with Special Operations, and I was a military intelligence warrant officer. And in my civilian career, I was a Chicago police officer, 27 years, 21 of which was as a detective, where I worked my first 5 years in the glorious unit of auto theft. And then after that, went to homicide. Then I went to special victims unit, which was okay, did missing persons, child abuse cases, lots of domestic, got bounced back to homicide, did some property crimes on the midnights, but I have a vast repertoire of experience. And all right, so I want to put in a plug. So I drive up here from the northwest side of Chicago, where I still live in the city, kind of by O'Hare. And I like to leave early because I have that military thing in me where if I'm late for anything, I start panicking. I mean, I leave with a lot of time to spare in case, bridges get knocked down or, they blow up the roads or something, because I just want to be on time. And so I got here early today. I went to get myself a little snack, and I found the Blue Box Cafe here in Elgin.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, and they're, let me get the address here. Got to find it up. Okay, 176 East Chicago Street over here on Elgin. So right around the corner from Studio 14 here. I thought I'd put in a plug for them. Now, I was surprised. I walked in there, and I'm like looking around, and I see K9, which is a character from Doctor Who. And I'm like, oh, Blue Box Cafe. And then I saw all the Doctor Who themed stuff. And I'm like, it's wow. But I'm old school Doctor Who. I think people my age remember PBS, where it only came on Sunday night at 11 o'clock for a half hour. So people get to see now the whole series like a 2-hour show, almost like a movie. Back then, we had to watch for 5 weeks straight to get the whole thing in. So, all right, so I'll let you know I'm a member of many veterans organizations. I have a little bit of experience with them too. I was the commander of Post 104 out of Schiller Park. And luckily, my buddy Bob, he stopped in and he said, hey, I'll be the commander. So that allowed me to do a little more, and I moved up to be the 9th District Commander, which is the next level above all the posts. So I'm getting a lot of knowledge there. There's a lot of great guys that know some stuff. I seek out mentors, and because I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I know where to ask for advice. I know who has the answers. Then I'm the member of the Veteran of Foreign Wars, having 3 tours in Afghanistan. And I'm out of Wakanda, Illinois, but I pay my dues, and I haven't shown up since I've joined. I got to apologize for that. I might have to transfer posts to get somewhere a little closer to home. But those guys were recruiting when I was still active active in the reserves. They came up to Fort Sheridan when we were having a family day at the unit up there. Then I'm a member of the Polish Legion of American Veterans up in McHenry, Illinois. I visited my buddy up there a couple times, and he introduced me to them, and I thought that was great because my last tour in Afghanistan, I actually served with the Polish Army, which was handling the Ghazni, the Ghazni district in Afghanistan there. They were great guys. And then I'm also a member of the Special Forces Association, which was a little difficult to get into because they want you to prove that you were really with the Special Forces. I mean, really, really with the Special Forces. Now, I wasn't a Green Beret or a Triple Canopy guy. You know, the Triple Canopy guys are you'll see them with the big tab, Special Forces. Underneath that tab, some of them have Ranger because they went to Ranger training. And then they'll have the Airborne, which is typical of whatever unit you're with if you're Ranger or Special Forces. You don't have to be with an Airborne unit after you get those qualifications, but usually the guys stay close to home, the hardcore guys. So I had done 10 years in psychological operations, which is part of the Special Operations Command. And I did a tour in Haiti with the 3rd Special Forces Group. And then my first tour in Afghanistan, I was split between the 10th, the 5th, and the 19th group. So that was, those are my bona fides on veterans organizations. Do we got any calls there?
Nothing yet.
Oh, man.
Hey, is it okay if I put the comments on your screen? Is that good? You see?
Oh, okay. Hi, Paul. Paul's one of my most loyal listeners.
He called in last time.
Yes, he does. He calls in.
So I have to ask. You went to Blue Box?
I did.
How did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. It's it's not super fancy, but okay. I'm going to be a little. The girls are pleasant to look at. They're friendly people. Mm-hmm. All right, and the coffee was really good. You know, that reminds me of the coffee I got when I was over in Germany. You know, a little cafe German coffee, and the sandwich I got, the Hoovian, which is just ham, egg, and cheese. That was really good. So I enjoyed it. And when I come up here now, I'm going to be not only looking forward to doing my radio show, but I'm going to be looking forward to stopping off at the Blue Box Cafe for my breakfast.
Well, you know what? I have to give a suggestion for lunch BLTs.
The BLTs. I do like
good.
A BLT.
Yes. I love the BLTs. For the listeners who know me, they know I love the BLTs at the Blue Box. So yeah. Very, very cool.
Now, I add a little bit to my BLTs.
Okay, what do you add?
All right, so I will use spinach instead of lettuce. Because I think spinach has a little bit more nutritional value. And then cucumbers. I'll slice cucumbers really thin and put it on there.
Okay.
You know, it gives it. You know, it's like having a salad BLT between 2 slices of bread.
It does sound good. Have you tried other places around the area too?
No, I have not. I haven't been up here that long to just spend a lot of time around here. I was driving by and I see the hot dog guy. I don't Big Joe's or Big Jim's or
Big
something.
Sammy's?
Big Sammy's, that's it. Big Sammy's, yeah.
Yep.
I says, well, I think I'll get a hot dog, but then I didn't see his place as I drove through, you know, and I wasn't looking for an address, nor do I know the addresses around here.
Yeah, it's off Randall, the Big Sammy's, and I've met Big Sammy before. Very nice guy, and it's a good place to get hot dogs, and also burgers too are very good.
Okay,
so
that's another place I could stop. Maybe after I have my breakfast, and I could eat all day. You know, I could just constantly eat. You know, I try not to.
Yeah.
You know, that was one of the things why I started drinking I was drinking coffee before I entered the service, and at 18, and I was drinking, cream and sugar. I'm a young kid, had a sweet tooth and everything. And then I went to basic training, and they're like, oh, yeah, you can have all the coffee you want, no cream, no sugar. So I was drinking it black, and then you get done with that, and you're like, oh, I want to go back and treat myself. So I started drinking it like that again. And then as you get older, you got to start cutting calories somewhere. And since I was still in the service, I have to maintain a certain weight standard, below 25% body fat. And I'd always like to be below 15, so and I said, well, cream and sugar's got to go. those are calories,
Yeah.
So just have the straight black coffee.
I don't think I could give it up.
You can't. You know what? You take out the sugar, adding sugar to everything, right?
Oh, well, yeah.
You take out throwing salt on everything you eat, and you actually, after a while, you start tasting the flavors. So you know what steak tastes like as opposed to pork. But sometimes it's only the texture that's different because people just slam so much salt on that.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to appreciate the natural flavors of things. Maybe it'll keep me living longer. Maybe it'll make me more healthy, but that's what I tell myself anyways.
There you go. Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to take a little time out here. It's 12:15, so we'll take a couple timeouts, and we will be back with more of Chief Guard of the Republic. Stay tuned.
Every year in Illinois, over 30,000 drivers are arrested for DUI. Due to improper testing procedures, many people end up being wrongfully charged. The book DUIs Decoded cuts right to the chase and tells you how proper DUIs arrests are supposed to be made, from the initial traffic stop to the reasoning behind the field sobriety test, all the myths and facts about taking a breathalyzer, and more. DUIs Decoded is written by nationally recognized DUI expert witness William Polarinos. Available now at Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com.
If you have been charged with driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs in Cook County, DuPage County, or Lake County, Illinois, call the law office of Mark Sheblow at 773-775-5050. That's 773-775-5050. Attorney Mark Sheblow has over 29 years of law experience handling DUI defense, traffic violations, CDL violations, and Secretary of State driver's license reinstatement hearings. All aspects of your case will be examined in order to find evidence that may help your case, especially the statutory summary suspension of your driving privileges. If your breath alcohol concentration level at the time of the DUI arrest is 0.08 or more, then the summary suspension of your driver's license begins 46 days after the arrest. Time is a crucial factor in challenging the summary suspension of your driver's license. Our law office is located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. And again, our office phone number is 773-775-5050.
Six Bayonets, brothers and sisters, we're back. 847-931-1410, or find us on YouTube Live, WRMN channel. And my girlfriend tuned that in. And a good thing she told me. She says, during the commercials, you're still on YouTube Live, so don't do anything embarrassing. I'm like, okay. So Matt wanted to talk a little more about my Special Forces experience. Now, I didn't go to selection. Selection is like a month-long school that you have to make it through to be selected to go on for training for Special Forces. And when you're with the Special Forces A team, normally you're locked down with these guys, very isolated for months at a time. So if you can't get along with a group of guys, and of vast different mentalities and personalities, you're probably not good for Special Forces. If you're a loner going to do it all by yourself, you're probably not good for Special Forces. Although you can try out, you can learn how to do that stuff. All right, so I never went through that training. They did have the 12th Special Forces Group, which was a reserve Special Forces group. But later on in the 90s, they decided to take all of the combat arms, infantry, artillery, Special Forces out of the Army Reserve and move them into the National Guard, and then beef up the Army Reserve with combat support units like medical units, engineer units, and not that you have combat engineers, and those are combat arms. So maybe I should say something. Maybe if I said something, what do you call it? I should work on my words.
I get that way too. I get stumped.
Yeah, the controversial. Maybe I should say something controversial, and I could have all these Special Forces guys calling me up and say, "No, that's not the way it is. That's not the way we did it." Everything else, but I'm not. I don't want to be controversial there. So, so the first time I got to work closely with the Special Forces was in Haiti in '94. And so being with psychological operations, like we got attached to 3rd Special Forces Group, and I was sent down to Lakai, Haiti, where I was the psychological operations officer for the 2nd Battalion of the 2nd Battalion of the 3rd Special Forces Group. I was just a staff sergeant at the time, but that's usually an officer position. And it was great working out there. I mean, you got very independent work. You don't have big army looking over your shoulder. They treat you mostly like adults, and that's a great thing when you're an adult to be treated like an adult, because you go to big army and you could be 50 years old and they're treating you like a child. I know, I've been there. So the way they work hand in hand with people, get the people to help themselves, to get the people to fix their own problems, to get the people to liberate themselves. That's why they have the oppressor liberate, right? Against the oppressors of liberty, or to free the oppressed. So when I went with the 5th group and then hooked up with the 19th group over in Uzbekistan, they allowed us to grow facial hair, because well, they'll only talk to you if you have a beard, because if you don't have a beard, they don't respect you. This is I got a beef with the State Department, because a lot of these State Department people are clueless to the real world, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I started growing the beard and everything, but I only lasted about 3 weeks because it just was so itchy, so itchy. Just annoying itchy. I finally got rid of it, and I just had a big mustache. But then I'm thinking, I'm going bald, and I watched enough Gettysburg, some war movies. I really liked what they call the Burnside look, is where you get the mustache that goes up to your sideburns, and you don't have a beard or anything. And I says, hey, if I don't have a beard down here, it doesn't itch. So if I had only figured that out before, I could have just shaved down here and still had a beard.
Hey, it would be cool if like the next show you send me pictures of you.
Oh God, yeah.
And we put them on the screen. That would be fun. That
would be great. Yeah, I'll get so I've actually dug them out. So here's the thing that I did, and I'm getting I'm in the 3rd quarter of the 1st century of my life. I'm 61, which I don't think that's that old. I don't feel 61. But I've been with the Knights of Columbus and with the Legion. The older guys that are members, we go to their wakes and funerals when they pass, which is sad. I'm almost it kind of depresses me, because it's like one of the main things we do. It's like being in a death cult. I don't want to be in a death cult. Mm-hmm. So used to be in the old days, you'd have a bunch of pictures on bulletin boards, and they put it up there as you walked into the wake, and you see the pictures of people when they were younger and everything, or they had the picture books out.
Yep.
Lately, everyone's got the big flat screen TVs, and you just scroll through the pictures. They're scanned in, and these funeral directors, they'll scan them in for the people. I made my own. So,
your own screen of
my own wake pictures. Although I'm not going to have a wake, all right? But I got.
Oh, okay.
So you could do a screensaver and have all those things scroll through. So these guys that are really, you go into their office and they're really full of themselves, and they got a whole wall filled with love me certificates and love me pictures signed by celebrities or whatever, right?
Oh.
Sometimes they do that to be intimidating. I got a little photo frame, and I think I got it cheap, or maybe someone gave it to me, and it just sat in a box for a couple years. And I says, hey, I might as well hang this on the wall, and I put all those things in there, and now they scroll through. So I started off with my preschool certificate, my preschool graduation certificate, and a picture of me in preschool, and then I went all the way up through awards I got through the Army, or even the Boy Scouts, grammar school, and then up to, the police department, all that stuff. But I've been a little lax on it for like the last 5 years, so I got some more stuff that I need to add on to that.
Okay. That sounds like fun, looking through all the old pictures and...
It was, and it's nice to get that stuff organized. You could do it yourself, but they got companies that they make money off that.
Mm-hmm.
You send them a box of pictures, and then they scan it in for you, and they make money. They make big bucks.
Yep.
Right? Because I saw how easy it is to do. Right? And then they convert the videotapes, or they convert the film. Now, the film's a little more complex, but a videotape, you could buy a $60 converter that'll convert that to digital.
Yeah. When it's the silent films, the little tiny reels of the silent films.
8 millimeter and
Yeah.
16 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the old negatives, right?
Yeah.
So, and slides.
Slides is
That was the big thing before PowerPoint. You had the slides, and people would come over, and you'd have the big projector, and you'd sit there, and they'd shut off the lights, and they're clicking through these slides, and this is us in Hawaii, and whatever. So I just scanned those in and digitized them. Like one after, I didn't even care. It was click, click, but I'm looking through them all, right? My parents' old photos, black and white, and I still have the 8 millimeters and the 16 millimeter film. And I got the old cameras and I refurbished them. And they're silent. But now, the machines to do that, then the company's making money, they have the machine. It's maybe $3,000 machine. But once you got it, you've invested in that. You put the film in there, and it just converts it to a digital format. So what I did for one of them is I had an old Canon that'll do the Canon digital camera. And I zoomed it in on the screen, and I put the projector on there, and I was right in, and I let the film run, and just so like the old school way of copying it. It isn't as good. But then I'm going through all my dad's old stuff, and I found a projector converter that he had. So you put the projector on it, and it projects it on the back of something like that, so you can put the camera right up on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to set that up. That's like, I'm blizzarded in for a couple days, so I'm bored of and do this stuff. But once you get it digital, it's like forever.
Yep. Because I do that. I've done that in the past with slides. We had tons of slides. Again, with the old silent films, some of my dad as a kid that we had converted.
And you could add audio into them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can combine it too, because they would have sometimes people would film and have another person have like a recorder.
Yeah.
And then it would go at the same time.
Yeah, well, we've gone to the Pickwick Theater. My buddy is a member of whatever club they had there, and they showed a lot of old movies. And the old silent movies, before they really had good sound recording, they would hire a person to play the piano. So you'd be watching, and there'd be a person playing the piano, for background music.
Mm-hmm.
The silent movies. And so they had that at the Pickwick a couple times. They'd be showing a silent movie, and a guy be there playing the piano for the thing.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Very fun.
And here we go. Kodak Carousel. Yeah, that's what Paul says. I got one of those. I got the slide projector, but I've already converted all my slides. But I haven't converted my girlfriend's slides. She's got big boxes of slides and photographs, because her father was a real, video file, or a guy that he was an amateur photographer.
See, my grandpa was a photographer. He had thousands of slides, pictures at church events, and he had a rose garden. He took tons of pictures of flowers. And
one of the interesting people I met on the job, which one of my friends that I met on the job, really good story. She came over from Russia. All right.
Like me.
And she was working as a caretaker. She has actually been published in Pravda as a photographer. Her professional job is she used to photograph blueprints over in Vladivostok. But she comes over to the United States, and she has some issues, and this guy who knows of her, because he was a professional photographer on the South Side, he hires her to take care of his mother. as a live-in caretaker. And she's got her young daughter with her, Alina, who's my goddaughter, because she wanted her to be baptized so she could go to Catholic school, because she didn't think she could send her kid to the public school.
Okay.
So I met this guy, Tom. He's passed. He was a nice guy, but he was one of those photographers. He liked Paris, right? He had made his own panoramic film cameras, right?
Ooh.
So he would have his own negative built up, right? And big ones. You think a negative is 35 millimeter. This guy's negatives were like a foot and a couple feet across, and then he would project that on a big piece of photo paper and just make a huge panorama view of Paris or whatever. So he was pretty famous for that. And it turned out his father had been a police officer.
Oh, cool.
So and I just met him because I'm at a reserve unit, and one of the new guys that came in from Germany, he just got off active duty in Germany. He was an officer, and he says, "Hey, Sergeant Tuman, I hear you speak Russian." And I go, "Yeah, I got into Russian school, but I don't use it a lot. I'm not very good at it. I could read it, make it out, make some sense out of it. I could write if I had to, but it would take me a while of speaking it regularly, like a month of being totally immersed in it to get good." He goes, "Well, my wife met this Russian lady at the park because she's there with a little girl, and she's all alone, and she might want to speak Russian with someone." And they gave me the address. It was 57th and St. Louis. And I'm like, that's where I sit, because it's right across the street from park, and it's kind of a T intersection, and there's a stop sign there. And I would sit there in the squad car. That's where I would get my movers, because people blow through that stop sign. It's right by the park where people cross their kids. So I had no qualms about writing them a ticket for blowing the stop sign. Mm-hmm. And I says, I've been sitting there for weeks.
Yeah.
On and off, that was my place to go. So yeah, I met her, and it's just interesting people you meet all over with their stories.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Very cool. The time is 12:32. We are going to take a quick time out, and we'll be back with more, of course, with Chief Guard of the Republic. Stay tuned.
Twin Zeros at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights, Illinois. Check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. Twin Zeros Restaurant in Harwood Heights not only serves traditional gyros, but also has chicken gyro sandwiches. Twin Zeros also serves a variety of sandwiches ranging from cheeseburgers and Vienna beef hot dogs that have recently been inducted into the Vienna Beef Hot Dog Hall of Fame, Italian beef, Italian sausage, and combo sandwiches, to ethnic favorites such as Slovaki and Grecian chicken. Slovaki is shish kebabs, specifically chicken or pork shish kebabs, grilled to perfection, served on a warm pita with tomatoes, onions, and our homemade tzatziki sauce. You can also enjoy barbecue ribs served every day. Twins is open 7 days a week and also delivers locally. Located at 4870 North Harlem Avenue in Harwood Heights. Check out the full menu at twinzeros.com. That's twinzeros.com.
Real estate, be it residential or commercial, is often a person's most significant and priciest asset. Entering into a contract to buy or sell a real estate property is much more than just filling in the missing blanks on the printed contract. It's wise to hire a lawyer to prepare or review the offer to purchase real estate and take full advantage of his legal expertise. With Mark Sheblo, you will gain an attorney with over 26 years of legal practice and one who has helped thousands of clients to buy or sell their homes or investment property. We will safeguard your interests and might be able to even negotiate a better bargain than a client without proper legal counsel ever could. Oftentimes, a prospective buyer will submit an offer without first consulting an attorney, not realizing that once the offer is accepted by the seller, it becomes a binding contract. And the terms of that contract are not easy to be changed afterwards. Likewise, as a seller, you too will benefit from first consulting an attorney before signing. Feel free to call us for consultation at the law offices of Mark Sheblo at 773-775-5050. Our website is sheblolawoffice.com. Mark Sheblo can be reached 6 days a week at 773-775-5050, Monday through Saturday, located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's attorney Mark Sheblo, 773-775-5050.
Six Bayonets, brothers and sisters, we're back. And Matt was just asking me if I'd ever been to Russia, and I had to say, no, I hadn't been to actual Russia. I've been to parts of the former Soviet Union, the Stan, so Uzbekistan and Ukraine. I was in Ukraine in 2003, where we trained at the Polygon for Operation Peace Shield, which was, it was good. You know, we worked all the old Stan militaries, you know, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, all right, the Ukraine, and all the old Soviet Warsaw Pact republics, such as Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, and Moldavia. They all came to this training in the Ukraine, just as a joint training to get to know each other and to operate, see how everyone else operates. That was a great thing there. I met these guys. The language that they used was Russian, because most of the officers there were of the age under the sphere of Soviet influence that they all had to learn Russian in school. So their Russian was far superior to mine. The Romanians did not like speaking Russian. They almost refused. They would speak English, but they practically refused to speak Russian. And I knew these older officers spoke Russian, but they just went into it. But I wish I had a chance, you know, for better immersion training there. But like I said, my ex-wife had been to St. Petersburg for immersion training. We still had rather friendly, semi-friendly relationships with Russia. So they had a contract company, and because the military spends a lot of money training you to speak the language, and they realized that if you don't use it, you can lose it. So they would fund to send you over to like month-long immersion training where you would live with an actual family, and then you would go to the school, and then you come home and live with the family. You know, and you're only supposed to be speaking Russian the whole time. The closest I got to that was 2 weeks in Fort Lewis, Washington. That was pretty fun too, you know. But you know, once you're out of their view, you can speak all the English you wanted. You know? But it does help. I wish things weren't so bad. I'm not going to get into my political views on that. I see things from an entirely different point of view than your average citizen, because they have not been exposed or had access to the things that I've had over the years, which some of them I could talk about, but I won't. Like I said, I carried a very high clearance level. I know some of these guys come out of the military and they become political commentators and stuff, but I'm not going to do that because it's dangerous, not to me, and probably not overly dangerous to the national security and national defense. What it's dangerous to is the people that are still doing the work.
Okay.
All right. So to explain this isn't part of my expertise that I can't speak about. All right. So you have methods, right, and sources. So a source could be anyone from a human being to a television show, be your source of information. And the methods that you collect, right? Collecting, you could be talking to someone, or you could use electronic means of collection, or video. You know, you see it on all the police shows and everything. So you don't want to let the enemy know who or what your sources are. You don't want to let them know what your methods are, because if they learn what your sources are, they could destroy the sources. If they learn what your methods are, they could block your methods. But when you talk about destroying sources, you're talking about human life in some cases. So if someone calls me up and asks me a question on that stuff, you're gonna see a blank look on my face as I'm thinking, should I answer this? I probably won't.
Just to be,
That's to be fair. I see the people on TV, these political commentators, and I says, man, if I did that, I'd be in prison, but they must be connected. There's Brendan. Hey, Brendan. How you doing?
Hey, Brendan. He's an avid listener of a WRMN. He's always listening in, always greatly appreciated.
Great. You got a question, Brendan? Just type it in.
Let us know.
Yep.
Absolutely. Now, you also talked a little bit here, too, or at least in briefly mentioning that you were part of the Polish Legion of American Veterans. Is that
Yeah,
right?
the PLAV. At first, I thought, okay, so my grandfather was with the Polish Army in World War I, after World War I. There was the Free Polish Army. They recruited a lot of people in the United States, a lot of Polish, because Poland did not exist again until 1918. So you had the big partitions, and then Poland ceased to exist for a long time. But in 1918, with Wilson's 14 points, they created all those, they broke up the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. And they created Poland, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, all right? Those were all created on Wilson's 14 points. So I thought you had to actually be in the Polish Army, have been in the Polish Army or anything to join that, you know?
Okay.
And I began to realize that it's like, oh, you only have to be a Polish ethnicity.
Oh, really? Okay.
Or somehow attached to it. So Polish Legion of American Veterans, and they are nationally recognized. Because to be a 501c19, which is the military organizations, you got to be chartered to that. So I joined them because my buddy Joe, who may be, and I hope he does, he hosts the next show, because I'll be off at a couple weddings. And host next show, Ranger Joe, real good guy. Met him on my last tour of Afghanistan with the Illinois National Guard. He's just the reason it didn't go as bad as it could have. You know, he was a great guy to bounce things off of. And I'm up there with him. He was the commander of the Legion post up there for a while. And I went around to it was Veterans Day dinner or something. I went there and I said, oh, Polish Legion American Veterans. I says, can I join? They go, sure. I filled out the form, sent them my 214, which is my discharge papers, and I've been a member. I wish I could get up to more events. Or I know there's probably one down in Chicago, but that was the one I joined.
Very nice. Now, I can't remember if I asked you or not. So you're Polish, are you like from both sides of the family?
Yes. So my dad's father came over from the Austrian-occupied part of Poland.
Okay.
Right? And he changed his name from Toman, T-O-M-A-N, to Tuman, T-U-M-A-N, on his paperwork.
Okay.
Because they were looking for him to draft him into the Austrian army. But he comes over here and joins the Free Polish Army, right? But as Tuman and not Toman. My grandmother's maiden name was Shedlik.
Okay.
The grandmother on my mother's side, Shedlik. My grandmother on my father's side, Niegos, right? And she was born in Indiana.
Okay.
All right. When she married my grandfather, she had to become a naturalized citizen, even though she was born here.
Interesting.
Back in the day, if you were a female and you married a foreign national, you had to go through the same naturalization process he went through.
Interesting.
So a lot of people don't know that it happened. Now, my great grandfather on my mother's side, Chikaitis, he's from Lithuania, but Lithuania was occupied by the Russian Empire. I have his discharge papers, 1890, from the Tsar's army.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, my great grandfather was in the Russian army.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so my grandfather on my mother's side, Chikaitis, he didn't serve. He was a steel worker. So they needed the steel workers to build all the steel, Central Steel and Wire down in Chicago. And then, like I said, Shedlik was my mother's mother's maiden name. So when I did the 23andMe thing, 99% Polish blood.
Wow.
Because, as you know, Lithuania, a lot of Polish nobles there. Not that I'm nobility. You've heard of the difference between the they have the Szlachta and the Górali.
Okay.
Right? So the Szlachta are the barefoot nobility. Because Poland, you were either a peasant, a serf, or noble. But if you didn't have money and you were nobility, you were subject when the king would call for the army. You were subject to come. Right? So you were authorized to carry a sword. And then you have the Górali, the Highlanders, the mountain people, right?
Oh.
And so it was always a thing that the south side Chicago were the Górali, and the north side Chicago were the Szlachta. Which they're noble, the poor petty nobility. I've studied a lot of Eastern European history, pretty much on my own, but it's an interesting state of affairs with that.
Yeah.
So I don't think in Poland they understand that the Chicago Polish.
Yeah.
Because
there's a big Polish community.
We've been
there.
separated for so long.
Yeah.
We've been separated from the motherland for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And but even though when I was with the Polish Army, I was a liaison officer from the Illinois National Guard.
Okay.
So I was there, an intelligence officer. So like I said, sources and methods and everything, we don't even let our best friends know some stuff. So you have a thing called no foreign. That means this is secret information, but you can't give it to any foreigners. And that includes the British and the Canadians. There's just some stuff that's just for U.S. only. Now you'll have a thing called Five Eyes. Like, there's 4 eyes and 5 eyes. And I think 4 eyes is United States, Canada, Great Britain, and Australia. Basic, big English-speaking countries, right? And 5 eyes, they added in New Zealand. Right?
Okay.
Then you have secret NATO, released to NATO. Right? So anyone in NATO can get this. But a lot of the stuff we do is still no foreign. We don't even want our closest friends to know about this stuff because I would say we don't trust them. And we'd be right not to.
Yeah.
Like the greatest line from the Hells Angels. Right? The greatest thing is 3 men can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
And that's the way you have to think in military intelligence.
Yeah.
If you let this stuff out, you got to assume that they're going to leak it. And they're not supposed to. They're supposed to give it the same protection that you do, but we can't oversee them. They can't oversee us.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll take another quick time out here, and we'll be back with more of I almost said out to lunch. It is the lunchtime here, but we're at the Chief Guard of the Republic. Folks, stay tuned, and we'll be back with more in just a bit.
Are you looking for a way to be creative right now? Have you ever wanted to learn to watercolor paint? You can now do that from the comfort of your own home with Zoom watercolor classes. Get professional instruction from nationally showing artist Victoria Elizabeth. These classes are step-by-step, broken down with easy-to-understand instructions. They are affordable, too, at $15 for a 2-hour class. Visit her website at victoriaelizabethart.com to find out more. That's victoriaelizabethart.com.
Is your Illinois driver's license suspended? Your driving privileges are important to your livelihood. You need your driver's license to drive to work, get the kids to school, or go shopping. Your driving privileges are crucial for your lifestyle. If your driver's license is suspended, call attorney Mark Sheblo at 773-775-5050 to begin procedures to have your driver's license reinstated by the Illinois Secretary of State's office. That phone number for Mark Sheblo is 773-775-5050. Mark Sheblo is an attorney with over 29 years of experience. Call him today at 773-775-5050. Visit his website at SheblowLawOffice.com. That's SCIBLO lawoffice.com.
Fixed Bayonets, brothers and sisters, and we're back. We have a caller.
Oh my goodness, there we go. Hello there, caller. Welcome to the show.
I'm enjoying the show. I didn't know if I got you guys live because I kind of toggle back and forth on my tune in to YouTube, but I like the discussion. It connects to me because I too have old documents. In a particular case, my grandmother, who's Lithuanian, her 1910 arrival papers.
Oh, very nice.
I got it framed. Yeah. And I also have her liquor license from the 40s back in Cleveland, where we're originally from. And this is Cleveland, Dennis, if I just want to identify.
Oh, you're calling out of Cleveland? Nice.
Hey.
No, I'm right here in Elgin.
That's what we call him as a first shift listener, Cleveland Dennis.
Oh, hi, Cleveland Dennis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. But no, just it's interesting, to me personally, because I understand a lot of what you're saying, and I understand the politics of the various countries. And my mother, who was born in Ansonia, Connecticut, she was considered a Russian citizen under the USSR's previous, laws and so forth, because her parents were from Lithuania.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about that is Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia during World War II. All right, I have Department of the War Department Russian books, and they do not list Lithuania, Estonia, or Latvia as part of the Soviet Union because we never recognized that they were ever part of the Soviet Union, that they were independent countries that were being occupied by the Soviet Union.
Right, yeah. No, I understand that as well. It's just how often does somebody get to hear information like this? And again, it's I'm going to say dear to my heart that, you talk about it because Cleveland was the second largest Lithuanian and I think Polish, city after Chicago with the immigrants and so forth and so on, with Lithuanians, Polish, and related. But yeah, I just I'm
going to push a push out for a book. It's an old book. It was written by Henryk Sienkiewicz, right? Very famous author, won the Nobel Prize for Literature for his book Quo Vadis, which they've made several movies out of. But he wrote a book.
How do you spell that? I missed that. Could you say that again?
Henryk, Henryk, Sienkiewicz, just like it sounds. Sienkiewicz. Sienkiewicz.
Okay.
Right? And he wrote a book called Pochleba, which is After Bread. And you can't find, it's probably not in print, but you can order it out of a library. And he talks about, post-Civil War Eastern European immigrants coming to the United States and trying to make their way out west and everything. It's it's a pretty depressing book, but
sure,
it's a good read. He also wrote some other stories. The gentleman had traveled extensively in the West and understanding the European Tatars, all right, which were formerly part of the Horde, but not exactly. But he couldn't understand why the Indians weren't defeating the Cowboys because they fought just like the Tatars. And he's like, man,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here. He's got it up here, Henryk Sienkiewicz.
Was he referring to hand-to-hand combat?
On the horseback, because the Tatars were they were a horseback people. They traveled in chambuls, like a nomadic people.
Gotcha. I understand now. I just have to make a comment about that. On my father's side, I have a younger half-brother, and my dad named him John B., middle name Custer, after General Custer. And I'm just relating to all that with you as you're talking.
Some people don't know that General Custer was actually at Gettysburg. And he personally probably saved the Union Army because, not Stonewall Jacks, these memes, the Southern the Southern Cavalry commander had about, it was like 500 troops that he'd worked his way around the Union right and was coming up behind the supply trains.
Is that Jeb Stuart?
Jeb Stuart, right? Like maybe 5,000 or something. He had a lot of cavalry, and Custer saw him coming up, and with Custer's small force, totally outnumbered, he charged Jeb Stuart, and Jeb Stuart thought that he was being hit, that no one would hit him unless they had superior numbers to him, and he retreated from the battlefield. So, yeah,
I think I got a quick comment. I watched a movie that featured Custer through his initial training and how he was a bit of a odd duck, for lack of a better word, and they showed that at the beginning with him at Gettysburg in the movie. Yeah.
Oh, that was
if I remember correctly.
At the beginning of the movie Gettysburg. That was
I'll have to double check. What is it again?
The general, that was not Custer. That was a different cavalry commander. He was a cavalry commander, but he's also responsible for the reason the South did not win at Gettysburg, because he held the South off long enough for the infantry to come up. And
Interesting. Yeah.
General Buford?
John Buford.
Buford, yeah, General Buford. General Buford. So, yeah, yeah, Custer was an interesting guy. You know, they said he only needed one battle to be president, win one more battle to be president. That's probably why he went in hard charging into Little Bighorn, where he ignored the intelligence and what happened to him.
Growing up in the bars on the west side of Cleveland, where I'd be looking for my dad, they had the Custer battlefield advertised by Budweiser in a giant picture always on the walls there. That's all I got, guys.
Yeah, so Custer, was he on horseback?
Yeah, I showed him in the middle, like wielding his sword or
so
what have you.
There's a famous picture of Pulaski, a famous Polish-American general, because he was a general in the American Army. And it's down at the Polish Roman Catholic Union, the museum down there, and they got a big mural of Pulaski getting shot off his horse. Well, in reality, Pulaski died in the trenches. He had told the federal forces that the British were getting ready to occupy Savannah, and because he was a foreign officer, they didn't give him the same weight that they would have given an American officer, although he was an American officer just of foreign descent. And so they did not listen to him, and the British just walked into Savannah, and then they realized that they had to remove the British from Savannah. So rather than defending Savannah, which is much easier to defend the city than it is to take it, they had to go in there, and Pulaski actually died fighting in the trench, fighting on the defense mounds of the British. He got shot there.
Wow. What? Now, wait. What year was that?
17, probably 1778 or 1779.
Okay.
We got to get going pretty soon. But thanks so much for calling in today.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting show. I'm enjoying it. Thank you for taking my call and hearing me out.
You're very welcome. Thanks again.
Thanks again, Cleveland Dennis.
All right, this does wrap it up here. Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you next time.
Are you looking for a way to be creative right now? Have you ever wanted to